It was Christmas Eve, the very night before what most would call the most wonderful time of the year, and yet your very core was not filled with joy, but with dread and resentment. You progressively grew to dislike Christmas. All the things that you say about Christmas being a time of expressing love and good will towards others was always overshadowed by the commercialism and variance. What should be a day of spending quality time with family is hypocritically paired with people trampling over each other and fighting over microwave ovens. With a world already filled with so much unhappiness and uncertainty, you thought all the things Christmas stood was just a fairy tale that can only exist in a non-stop Christmas motion special. It was late on one snowy night. You just lay in bed, tossing and turning, trying to fall asleep so that Christmas can be done and over with already. Just as you felt like you were about to fall asleep, a flaring red glow filled your room, and a burst of bone-chilling cold shook your soul. You groaned in annoyance as you assumed that it was absent-mindedly left the window open, and the practically radioactive glow of the neighbors' Christmas lights were the culprit of the blinding light. You opened your eyes to see a humanoid shape standing at the end of your bed. You gasped in horror as reflectively backed up to the wall. You tried to scream, but as a reflex, your throat could only summon a choking gasp. The shadow stepped forth, showing itself. Your eyes widened in the unadulterated horror to see a man so thin that he looked like a skeleton, with a thin blanket of old, wrinkled skin draped over it and vacuum sealed. Said skin was as red as blood. His sunken eye sockets had no real eyes, but instead two dim lights that pierced your soul. Protruding him from his wrinkled forehead were long curled horns, like those of a mountain goat. A dozen or so candles adorned his shoulders, perpetuously melting and reforming as they were lit with flames that looked unnatural purple color. He wore a black suit and pants with a red tie that accentuated his immense form. His arms were so long that his hands reached past his knees, standing, and his bony fingers were long and thin, like those roots of an old dead tree. Be not afraid, I mean you no harm. The entity spoke with a deep, yet strangely comforting voice, as he had the accent that you couldn't quite place. The entity then bowed, a gentlemanly sort of way, sufficiently adding the confusion on top of fear. I am pleased to inform you that you've been invited as the guest of honor at a Christmas banquet. The entity spoke in a professional manner, like how a butler would. Your confusion only grew while your fear started to slightly subside. Who are you? What are you? You managed to force the question out of your trembling mouth, your words as shaky as your body. My name is incomprehensible to mortals. As for what I am what your kind has come to know as a demon. The entity said, in a matter-of-fact manner. Your heart jumped at the word demon. My God, you thought. If this creature was telling the truth, there was an actual demon in your bedroom, inviting you to dinner? I know you should have some reservations, but I assure you, I'm not going to harm you. If that's what my intention, I would have done it by now. The demon brought up a good point. You're not sure if this soothing voice or the dreamlike absurdity of the situation, but you start to feel less scared, still uneasy, but not as terrified as you were before. If you could be so kind as to follow me, we mustn't keep the others waiting, the demon said as he bowed with his hand outstretched. A million thoughts were running through your head, and you instinctively wanted to say no. Who wouldn't in this scenario? But for some unearthly reason you couldn't quite explain, you felt compelled to come with the demon. You cautiously climbed out of bed and followed the demon. He led you to where he entered your home from the massive cave-like opening and resembling the maw of an anglerfish that looked like it was made from clay. It almost looked like something you would see in an old movie. Shivers ran down your spine as your legs felt weak, A question came to your mind and you couldn't help but ask. Are you taking me to where I think you are? Yes, the demon said, without a moment of hesitation. But do not worry. You are merely visiting, and as far as your records show, you are not even close to being deserving of coming here after death. Strangely, that actually made you feel relieved. The demon spoke in such a straightforward and professional manner that it never felt like he was lying to you. The mall-like opening closed behind you, and you literally melted into stop-motion claymation. Like the fashion you followed the demon, you found yourself in a narrow hallway, reminiscent of one that you would find in a fancy hotel. It had red wallpaper, but it was the mystical kind of red, a shade that you thought could only exist in dreams. Down the hallway were multiple gates. Each looked vastly different from the last. These are sin doors. Each gate leads to a realm that houses mortals who are guilty of that particular sin, where they must contemplate the errors of their ways for all eternity. The demon explained as you passed by each gate. You were familiar with the concept of the 7 deadly sins of Christianity, and they were indeed 7 gates, but none were named after the tradition sins that you were familiar with. First, there was hatred. The words were written in what looked like blood on the gate, made entirely of bone and skulls, and held together by rusted barbed wire. The overpowering smell of blood and rust assaulted your nose as you passed by. Then there was selfishness, a gate made entirely of black rotted wood, carved into a mass of twisted, gnarled arms and hands desperately grasping at something unseen, with your green reptile-like eyes peering out of the arms. One of them blinked and looked directly at you, making you jump. Next there was degeneracy. The door looked like it was designed to look like a giant human heart, and you swear you could see it actually beating, wrapped all around it in rusted chains and locks. Next it was Disset. It was carved from stone, making it resemble a giant tombstone with carvings of horned and winged gargoyles covering their ears and eyes. After that there was violence. The doors seemed to be entirely made of knives and firearms of all sorts. All melded together form a twisted gate with the name of the sin violently carved in front of it. The second to last door was Epiphy, which was a simple wooden door with the iron ring handle on the word Epiphy, sloppy written on it with black paint or ink, with the same kind of substance leaking from the crevices of the door. The demon leads you to the final gate of the hallway. The gate consists of 2 doors appearing to be made of solid gold, adorned with rubies, emeralds, and sapphires, and expertly detailed. On the doors read the words, "Greed and Gluttony," in fancy cursive, but as you stood before the doors, and the most intense aromas of delicious food and baked goods imaginable wave through, the very scents actually start to make you feel hungry, and images of delicious food of all sorts start to swirl in your mind. The demon took out a key ring, carrying dozens of very old-looking keys. He shifted through his many keys until he placed one into the keyhole. He opened the doors and gestured you to step in. Through the golden doors, it was an equally glimmering hallway. The halls appeared to be solid gold as well. Gold statues of frog-like creatures, wearing crowns rested on marble pillars. The halls and statues were adorned with expensive jewels and diamonds of all sorts. The floor was adorned with a very velvet red carpet with gold trimming. Beautifully painted portraits of food, castles, and landscapes decorated the walls. As you progressed through the hall, the delectable scents grew stronger, welcoming you more as the demon led you to the second floor at the end of the hallway, the handles of which were statues of frog heads wearing crowns with ring-shaped handles in their mouths. The demon opened the doors, and you could not believe your eyes, even after what you've seen so far. Your eyes were met with the single most magnificent and extravagant feast you have ever laid your eyes on, placed on a massively long table that have yet to been at least 100 feet long. There was too much food to even list, and some of the delicacies you have never seen before. But from what you could observe, there were 2 golden brown turkeys, both far larger than any turkey you've seen on before. Several racks of lamb, enormous honey-glazed ham, and the entire suckling pig, glazed and roasted to perfection. There were Cornish hens, corned beef, smoked halibut, hot links, a farm's worth of eggs, hot buttered biscuits and croissants, mince pies, mashed potatoes, mashed squash, sweet potatoes, branded plums, grilled orca, creamed spinach, cranberry sauce made by hand, a variety of stuffing, and an impressive array of soups and stews. The centerpiece of the banquet was absolutely towering Christmas cake in the center of the banquet table, 12 tiers tall, and several slices had been taken out to show that each tier was a different flavor. The cake was masterfully prepared with a metallicious detail, iced with red and white frosting, adorned with icing roses, and decorated with whole-baked apples and poached pears. The descendant sights and smells of the spread truly astonish you. But what's even more impressive than beyond the indulgent banquet were the guests. Demons, you guessed it, but they were not horned, red-skinned men with forked tails. Each demon looked vastly different from the last. They all resembled mishmash hybrid animals. There was a pig with wings of a bat and monkey-like hands. One had a body of a praying mantis and the head of a lion, and one had the head of a raven or a crow, but with the body of a flea, who was also dressed in an expensive-looking green suit with a monocle over his left eye. The largest demon out of all of them, who was seated very well at the end of the table, was a gargantuan toad, or frog that resembled the many statues you saw in the hallway. The amphibious giant had a skin of shiny yellow tone, making it look as if it were made out of gold, but still with a distinctive organic quality to it. It had 6 skeletal, almost human-like arms, all attached in the same shoulder with the long bony fingers attached to each one, each finger endowed with the multiple jeweled rings. Its massive belly had ginormous red jewel haphazardly stuffed into it where its belly button would be. Its eyes were glassy and pupilless, yet they glowed with expression, and its wide mouth stretched outwards in a surprisingly welcome smile. Atop its head was massive, regal crown garnishly adorned with diamonds, rubies, and emeralds. You didn't even know if this was the devil himself or just the head of the demon of this particular room, but he was an imitating presence either way. Ah, yes, the guests of the hour. Come sit, take part of this bountiful banquet, and know me better man. The giant toad man spoke, walking you to your table, awed and yet disturbed sight. His voice was booming, and yet he had warm, welcoming quality to it. He sounded like how you would imagine Santa Claus would sound like. Come on, come. Don't be shy now. There's plenty to go around. The toad said, welcoming you with 6 open arms. You reluctantly obliged, not wanting to offend the demon and its guests. Forcing a smile, you walked up to an empty chair that was placed at the end of your table. Your guide sat in the other empty chair adjacent to you, sitting next to a demon that you could only describe as a literal spider monkey, as it resembled a chimp with 6 large spider-like legs, a spider's fangs, and a large furry thorax above its hindquarters, and 6 arms to boot. Have whatever you like. 'Tis the season for indulging in life's gifts and sharing that bounty with your fellow man. If you see something you like, just ask your neighbor to pass it, the toad said as he drank from his massive golden chalice. You were hesitant at first, of course, but the more you observed and listened to the toad and its demonic guests, you progressively felt more at ease, feeling as though the abhorrent bastardizations of nature really meant you no harm. They say that the eyes are the windows to the soul. As you looked into the eyes of these creatures, you saw the warmth, kindness, and joy, qualities that one would never associate with demons. The creatures ate with gusto, but were very generous and kind to each other. They passed food around and spoke to each other like good friends would. These demons, creatures of hell and servants to the Prince of Darkness, acted more friendly and loving. giving to each other when your own family would at Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner. Excuse me, mortal. You jumped at the demon addressed you in a chipper manner. The demon in question had the body of a large green snake, and the head of a horse with a long black stringy hair, and bird-like wings with rainbow-colored feathers. Would you like anything to drink? We have mulled wine, eggnog, hot chocolate, and spiced apple cider, warm and cold. The winged horse snake said excitedly in its unnaturally high-pitched helium-sequin voice. You struggled to find the words, confused beyond reason, but you didn't want to be rude, especially since they were being so generous, even if it didn't quite make sense to you. Hot chocolate would be nice, please, you said in a shaky voice. The horse snake whistled, signaling to a large centipede-like creature to start skittering from the other end of the table towards your end. This 10-foot-long centipede had multiple containers and dishes of dressings, sides for each other's fixing, balancing on its hind end, including a gravy boat, a dish of gravy cranberry sauce, and a large vintage-looking pitcher. The centipede stopped by your plate. The pitcher, containing of what you assumed was hot chocolate, was positioned right in front of you. You grabbed the handle of the pot and poured its contents onto your golden chalice. Thank you said to the centipede in a slightly unsure manner. To your surprise, the centipede looked straight at you and gave you a nod. It then turned to right and moved upwards a few inches and stopped. Right in front of you was a small tin containing mini marshmallows for your hot chocolate. You took a small handful and placed it onto your drink. You looked into the chalice containing the hot brown liquid, unsure if you should drink it. It looked like hot chocolate, and it certainly smelled like it too. You took a deep breath and decided to screw it and took a sip. Your eyes widened as the hot chocolatey drink touched your tongue. It was the most single delicious cup of hot chocolate you've ever tasted in your life. The taste was almost unbelievable. Your cautious sip turned into a hearty gulp as you drank nearly half of the hot chocolate in one go. So what do you think, mortal? The demon you met in the bedroom asked, as you couldn't help but notice how much you were enjoying yourself. It's good. It's really good, you said. All hints of fear and uncertainty left your voice. All the demons earshot laughed and cheered from your response. I'm glad you like it. A demon with the head of an owl and tentacles like an octopus spoke up in a female voice. It took me 2,500 years just to get it right. Not too hot, extra chocolate, made with hot goat's milk, and just like a hint of nutmeg, the demon said quite proudly. You looked at the spread before you, wondering if the food is just as good. You bite into a sausage and was blown away by its flavor and tenderness. The smoky pork sausage was stuffed with figs, apples, bacon, and fennel. You also took a bite of mashed potatoes, and it was floored by its pearl fluffiness and rich, buttery garlic taste. Can you pass the sausages, mortal? A demon possessing the head of a crocodile with antlers of a deer, and a nude human female body with breasts covered up by a large deep-sea isopods, asked in a kindly British accent, taking you out of your blissful flavor nirvana. You nodded as you picked up the somewhat heavy platter of smoked sausage links and passed it to her. The alligator-headed woman then passed it to her neighbor, a mix between a hammerhead shark and a kangaroo, its upper half being the former and the lower half the latter, who then passed it to its neighbor, and so on and so forth. As the dinner progressed, you started to take part in conversations, getting to know the demons and their unique personalities. At one point, the demons started to sing Christmas carols, cheerfully singing everything from Santa Claus is coming to town to God rest you merry gentlemen. The joy was so infectious that you couldn't help but join. You were literally in hell, and yet you were having the fun time of your life. All of a sudden, the giant entity decided to call the Toad King, tapped his chalice with a bony claw, calling the attention for all the dinner guests. Friends, I would like to propose a toast to the special guests who, in spite of everything they were told about demons in their lifetime, decided to gracefully accept the invitation to our banquet, the first of their kind. The other demons agreed, saying, "Hear, hear," as they raised their chalices. And mortal, the Toad King addressed you personally. You perked up as a result. I want to express my appreciation to you. As you can see, we demons and ghouls love Christmas too, and for good reason. We are creatures of sulfur and bone, existing only to punish evil and wicked mortals on behalf of the powers that would be it's seeing the worst of humanity, how we've learned to appreciate the good human beings are capable of, and for what is Christmas is truly about. It is a time for reflecting on the importance of love, generosity, and goodwill towards man in spite of cruelty and misfortune that plagues the world. We try to invite mortals who have lost the meaning of Christmas every year to remind them of two things: that being the true meaning of Christmas, and that if we demons are capable of recognizing and celebrating the goodness of mankind, then so are you. The Toad King's words brought tears to your eyes. You felt as if your soul started to shine brighter. Feelings of love and joy were one associated with the holidays now returning to you. And as much as we'd love for you to stay, I'm afraid now is the time for you to return to the mortal realm, the Toad King said, slightly in more somber tone. You were sad to hear this, but you know you had to return home eventually. But with a heart full of renewed love and faith at Christmas, you were ready to return so that you could spread the message of the true meaning of Christmas to your fellow human beings. The centipede returned with a single tin full of multicolored buttermints on the side. Your demonic guide placed a hand on your shoulder. Take one, and you'll wake in bed on Christmas morning, the demon said, as he nodded reassuringly, his wrinkled mouth now smiling back at you. You took the mint and placed it into your mouth, feeling a drowsiness hit you in a flash, and the room started spinning. A cold chill washed over your entire body as everything went black. Your eyes fluttered open to see that you were in your bed once again. You were freezing cold in spite of your thick blanket enveloping you. You got up from your bed to see your bedroom window was wide as open. Some snow started blowing into your room as a result. You got up and closed your windowsill and rubbed your arms to get warm. Then it hit you. You realized what today was. It was Christmas morning and you didn't miss it. You put on your winter coat and your best scarf, ready to welcome Christmas into your life like never before. You remember bits and pieces of the odd dream you had last night. You were invited to hell for a Christmas feast with friendly demons. But with one thing you remember clearly was the Toad King's wonderful speech that resonated with you. Ever since that night you had a different outlook on not just Christmas, but life in general. You celebrated the day as if it were Christmas, showing kindness and generosity to all you meet and inspiring them to do the same for others. As time passed, you accepted the dream that you had was just that. A dream, but a life-changing dream that reminded you of all the ideals you still have within your subconsciousness. And with that being said, it's funny, despite not eating anything the night before, you could still vividly remember the taste of Christmas turkey prepared with spices and herbs, and the most delicious cup of hot chocolate you've ever tasted.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, stay pretty.